Tagovailoa could be headed for a breakup.
We've explored the possibility of trades. It will be interesting to see where this goes.
Be self-aware of where you are and understand that you have an unmovable contract.
We are on Sports Tonight here on ESPN Radio. ESPN2, we are presented by Progressive Insurance. Lowell, Michelle Small, and David Dennis Jr. in for Chris Canty today. Evan Cohen with you. Well, we know NFL Combine going on right now, Scouting Combine in Indy. All of the coaches and GMs speaking. All of the speculation has begun. We discussed moments ago, go back on the podcast and listen, that he said about Kyler Murray and whether or not the Cardinals have spoken to him and whether or not they're going to keep him, which we know that's probably not the case. Ian of the Falcons already told 92.9 in Atlanta that we're going to get rid of Kirk Cousins. We're going to release him. So there are quarterbacks available, potentially. Obviously, Cousins is definitively going to be available. We assume Kyler is going to be, and we assume the next guy we're going to discuss is going to be available. But how he becomes available is now the topic of conversation, and that is about Tua and Miami. John Eric Sullivan, the Dolphins general manager, was on the Rich Eisen show, noon until 3 Eastern time here on ESPN Radio, and said everything is on the table when it comes to Tua.
Everything's on the table with Tua. You know, I've said it multiple times today in different media outlets. We've talked to his reps. We've talked to him. We've explored the possibility of trades. We are very appreciative of everything that Tua has done and accomplished with the Miami Dolphins. It will be interesting to see where this goes, with the Dolphins or elsewhere. Quinn Ewers is obviously on the roster. He did some nice things down the stretch. My job is to make this as competitive of a room as I can, and that goes really for every positional room. We'll see what that looks like down the road. There's a lot of factors at play. I can't give you a definitive answer today. A lot of conversations that need to be had, but every move you make affects the next one, so we'll kind of see how it all plays out.
Was that extremely honest, extremely obvious, extremely incomplete? I thought that was a fascinating answer. Smalls, this is one of your guys. He's a former Packers executive, so you are going to be glass half full with a guy that comes from your team and learns from your system. How did you think he answered that question from Rich about Tua?
Well, to answer your question, could it be option C, all of the above? It was a little bit of all of that. It was a little bit obvious. It was a little bit surprising. And we know that the end of the road is near with Tua and the Miami Dolphins. It's just...
How?
It's just, what is that end going to look like?
Yeah.
Is he going to be traded? Are they going to release him? We know that the contract, the financial ramifications are going to loom largely when we're talking about how this breakup inevitably happens, because releasing him would produce $99.2 million in a dead cap hit if they do that before June 1st. And I know John Eric Sullivan said it's possible to make it work, but not likely. But I wonder if that's the road that they just go down. I think about what happened in Denver with Russell Wilson. I think about what teams have done when they say, we have to end this and we have to absorb it. We just need to restart the next chapter. And if they would be interested in maybe pursuing that if they can't find what they deem to be a viable trade option for him. But it's over. It's over between Tua and the Dolphins.
It felt kind of desperate. That would be the word that I would use. It felt kind of desperate in the idea of like, well, we're looking at trades. Other people want them. Who? Like, what's the move? Like, where is the value for somebody else to get Tua right now at that price tag when possibly, like, if Kyler Murray's available, why would you want Tua and that price tag over somebody like Kyler Murray? Like, I'm not sure what the options are outside of Miami for Tua to just let the guy play and be bad with him. I mean, that just seems to me like a thing. Because one thing that you do not want is to get rid of this guy, have all this dead cap space. Like, as a Saints fan, trust me, the fans do not like when you have a bunch of dead cap space and you're losing. You do not want that with somebody like Tua.
Yeah, I think back, David, to the way you and I spent our July last year. And that was together on First Take, no big deal, discussing all the NBA contracts, free agents, trade rumors, etc. Like, we did many of shows, radio and TV together, doing that stuff. That's what this has to be. This has to be an NBA-style salary dump where you're paying off a team to take on Tua. You're giving them a very premium pick, a second-round pick, whatever it may be, and I would advise that team upon arrival to cut him. And that's what it has to be. Other than that, he's just going to get released. But let's talk about that hypothetical of the $99 million cap hit that Smalls just brought up. Why would that be a bad thing? I know what David just said. No team and their fans wants a $99 million dead cap hit and to be bad. But isn't that exactly what this franchise needs to restart this thing? Just throw Quinn Ewers out there, and one of two things you have to hope for. Either he's the worst quarterback in the league or the best quarterback in the league. If he's the 20th best quarterback in the league, you're screwed. You need him to either be the worst quarterback in the league or the best quarterback in the league, and hopefully you get one of the two. And you would just have to deal with it for a year because you made a horrific mistake that didn't need to be made around Tua. The NFL, the players get screwed in many ways based on some of the contracts in the NFL. We know that. Mm-hmm. And the NFL gives the teams the advantages that the Miami Dolphins chose not to take. You want to sign him early when he hasn't proven to be good enough to be signed early. Have we heard at all about a Bryce Young contract extension this offseason? Because you know what they're going to do? They're probably going to pick up an option and just delay the decision. Smalls is all over how bad C.J. Stroud is. It's frustrating her like crazy. You know what the Texans are probably going to do? Wait on that. You know what the Dolphins didn't do? Wait on it.
Because they thought, okay, we've seen flashes from this guy. We've seen when healthy that he can be really productive, and that when has a big asterisk tied to it, of course. But I think they were thinking if we could do it now and he's what we hope he is long term, this is a very shrewd move. However, they did not have enough data points in place to make that financial commitment to him. Or they shouldn't have made that financial commitment to him.
Yeah, there was no reason to do so, but now you're stuck. I'm not sure what the difference is between having Ewers there and just having a bad Tua year. Just having another bad Tua year where you understand he's going to be bad, this is what we're getting, and maybe, I don't know, like you just have the guy there and you're just bad. Like I just don't understand the value of taking that cap space, that dead cap, when you have a guy who who can also be bad and you don't have the dead cap.
Okay, great question. You know what this all tells me then, David? Is that they think he will hurt the locker room.
Well, I mean, I guess that's possible. I mean, that is an interesting prospect. But I mean, I don't know if the players just don't like Tua. Like, is that what it is?
Well, I don't know. See, that's the thing. I'm not going to
the leadership stuff that happened this season.
Yeah, I don't want to make a statement on who Tua is without knowing Tua. But based on actions, if you think Tua at this point in his career with that roster will lead to losses, David's point is an excellent one. Take the lesser cap hit and let him lead to losses. But what you know is something's off. Like, for example, number one pick in the draft, Raiders. Mm-hmm. We have not heard them talk about getting rid of Geno Smith yet. Mm-hmm. I don't know that they're going to. You know why? Because even if not playing, they don't think he's going to be bad for the locker room. They think he's going to be good for the locker room. So they're considering something. I know it's less money, but you get the overall point. There has to be something more than just the cap hit here. They don't want him around.
Well, you were on this for a while with the Sixers about the culture of losing, right? You were basically saying, like, with Embiid, because of the process, can they ever know how to win? Because the culture that was drilled into place was to be bad. Trust the process, which means that it's going to be a while before you're good. And that can somehow permeate and stick to you in a way. And I wonder if the Dolphins are so desperate to turn the page and start fresh with a new era, with a new culture, that they think having Tua involved in that in any way is going to be prohibitive to their success.
It's very fair.
What success? What success?
Just in establishing a new culture and a new era. You can't really do that with Tua.
No, and I think it's an interesting one. And I think David's point is very interesting. If you think that you're going to be bad and you think he leads to being bad, why not just keep him one more year? And they're kind of saying everything's on the table because they want somebody to take the bait and trade for him, which is not going to happen, or consider releasing him and do the Denver thing like Smalls brought up, and Ewers becomes that interim quarterback, which maybe they hit on him. Who knows? I don't think so. But it's very interesting to think that part of this seems to be we just don't want this guy around. The door is open for a Hall of Famer, but should it be?